Hey Cal fans, it's time for the football film study here on California Golden Blogs, where this week I'll be looking at some offensive and defensive highlights from our awesome win over USC. For a fuller write-up of our defensive game plan and in-game adjustments, check out the link at the end of this video, where I'll be posting a write-up Friday morning. Now to start with the highlights, let's look at Vic Wharton's touchdown, which made the score 14-9. This play came on 3rd and 4, which is a situation where we love to spread the defense out with empty formations, as we see here, and then run a quarterback draw up the middle. And on this play, USC is clearly playing to take this away. What we see here is that USC is playing cover 0, and so all 11 defenders are within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. When we look at the offensive formation, Wharton's here, playing as the number 2 receiver to the wide side of the field. And something important to see here is that he's lined up relatively close to the other inside receiver. Now, normally cover 0 is a man coverage, but this compressed look from our receivers is going to give USC the concern that we could be running some kind of pick or slant flat combination here. If they cover those 2 receivers man-to-man and we are running that kind of route, then it's going to create a lot of traffic that could potentially pick off a defensive back. And so instead of playing this as a lock man coverage, they've made a banjo call. In a banjo call, the defense will line up with one guy inside of the compressed receivers and a second guy to the outside, where the inside guy will take whoever comes inside first, and the outside guy will take whoever comes outside first, thereby eliminating the threat of a pick. Baldwin's clearly anticipated this because he's got a really good call-in to beat this coverage. Wharton's obviously the star of the show here, but before we get to the touchdown reception itself, watch this inside receiver right here. Notice how he attacks inside, drawing the coverage of that inside defender in the banjo call. This is what pulls that defender out of the middle of the field, opening things up for Wharton. Vic's then going to run his post, which is a great route against a DB playing with outside leverage. Next up, let's look at the interception by Travion Beck. In his post-game press conference, Wilcox gave a technical description of this play, mentioning that Beck disguised his leverage really well, showing outside leverage and then jumping inside. To see how this worked, we're first going to look at a pass that USC completed earlier in the game. So here we see that USC is in a trips formation, and it's common for defenses to cover this kind of set with 4 defenders playing over the 3 receivers. The way that this 4-on-3 structure will work is that often one defender will be manned up on his receiver 1-on-1, while the remaining defenders will play 3-on-2 over the remaining 2 receivers, with an inside defender, an outside defender, and a deep defender, which is what we're doing here. On this play, Beck is the outside defender, and so he's playing with outside leverage, ready to take on the first threat coming to the outside, and funneling anything deep inside and toward his safety help. Where this look is vulnerable, however, is in this space in between the inside and outside defenders, and as we run this play forward, we see USC running 2 curls. The inside curl is designed to hold the inside defender, and that's going to let the outside curl pop open into that coverage void inside of Beck. Now, before moving on to the interception, I want to re-emphasize that in this case, the reason that Beck is playing with outside leverage is because his safety help is playing deep inside of him and over the top. And so this means that Beck has to take away outside breaking routes while forcing everything inside to the other 2 players in the triangle. With all that in mind, we're ready to look at the interception. At the start of this play, we see that USC is again in a trips alignment, and it looks like Cal is again playing 4-on-3, with Hicks manned up on his receiver and a 3-on-2 triangle over the 2 inside receivers. This would mean that once again, Beck's playing with outside leverage in order to force everything deep and inside to the safety. As we roll the play forward, however, let's take our focus off of Beck for a minute and look at that safety. Notice how with the snap, instead of staying over the top of the 2 inside receivers, he's breaking out toward the sidelines while the other safety is rotating to the middle of the field. This gives our underneath defenders deep outside help, and so they're all playing with inside leverage to take away inside breaking routes like those curls that we saw in the last play. Daniels expects Beck to be playing outside, and so he's going to get surprised when Beck undercuts the inside breaking route for the pick. So this was a great play call by DeRuyter, and the players also deserve a lot of credit for hiding it really well and for making it look like a coverage that USC had had previous success against. Finally, let's close out this video by looking at the blitz that ended USC's last 2 drives. Here we see that USC has 6 pass blockers in the box. Cal has 6 potential rushers, and all of them are going to be coming, so USC should have a blocker for each rusher. To understand why this blitz gets a free rusher, we first need to look at the nose tackle. We see that he's shaded inside of USC's left guard, and that would make it potentially difficult for the left guard to block him if he makes a hard inside move straight for the quarterback. For this reason, the center is going to double team the nose tackle, giving USC 3 pass blockers to this side of the formation. USC is then using their running back to block Kunashik on the edge, giving them 3 blockers for those 3 rushers. The problem for this protection is that Cal's also bringing Weaver across the center's face, and so that's going to make Weaver a 4th pass rusher to that side, and they're going to be unable to block him. Now, it's always hard to know for sure what a team's pass protection rules are, but it looks to me like the center probably needed to slide off the nose tackle to pick up Weaver in this case. And if that is what was supposed to happen, then it's interesting to think about why he didn't do this. Remember that earlier in the game, this same center had snapped the ball over his quarterback's head for a safety, and snapping's been a rough area for him for much of the season. By bringing Weaver across his face right at the moment when he's snapping the ball, therefore, we're attacking him at a time when he's consumed with getting a good snap off, making this a great call to target one of USC's personnel weaknesses. On USC's last drive of the game, we're running the same blitz, but USC's actually adjusted and gone to a different protection. Here, the center, instead of double teaming the nose tackle like he did on the last play, is going to slide to our left, giving USC 3 offensive linemen to block Bakit, Paul, and Kunashik on the edge. In this case, since the line was sliding toward Kunashik, it looks like USC's running back would have been responsible for picking up Weaver, and right here we see him looking directly at Weaver before flashing his eyes back to the outside. The running back's reaction here suggests to me that he expected the center to pick Weaver up, indicating that USC's protection just isn't on the same page about what protection they're in and about what their pickup rules are. Alright, those are some of the highlights from the USC game. There are a lot more that I could have talked about, and if you want a more detailed analysis of our defensive game plan and in-game adjustments, check out patreon.com/Burke18. Otherwise, until next week, go Bears and beat Stanford!